Hello, my name is Joanne Wadler, and I'm going to show you how to make a simple sage ring today out of metal clay. The first step in making our simple sage ring is to determine our ring size. After we determine our ring size, we can use a ring pellet, which will help stop the clay from shrinking. My rule of thumb is when you determine your size, you go up 2 sizes and then find the correct ring pellet. I have large fingers, so I'm using an 11 that will shrink down to my size 10. Now, when I say 2 ring sizes, I don't mean a 9, a 10, and 11. I mean the half sizes as well. So, if I had my ring size being a 10, the reason why I'm using an 11 is because there are sizes in between, so I'm going up 2 ring sizes. So it's going to be a 10 when it's fired. So after we determine our ring size, we put that away with our ring pellet off to the side. We then want to make sure we don't have any of the powder from the ring pellet on our fingers. We then open up our Badger Balm. We could also use olive oil, but I find traveling is much easier to use the Badger Balm. I use about a pea-size amount on my finger. I then rub it into my hands, making sure I get my fingertips covered. I then take a little bit more and I rub it on my page protector. Remember, our clay will stick to anything that does not have any kind of lubrication on it. I then take my cards. I'm going to be using 10 cards, but it's 5 on each side. And I'm going to take the existing ones on the other side. I'm now going to open up my package of clay, and I'm going to take about half of it out. I'm also going to be placing it in somewhat of a snake shape because that's the way I'm going to be rolling my clay, and that's the way my leaf will be able to form the correct size and shape. I'm going to lay it down. I'm then going to take my roller, and I want to make sure that my roller's lubricated with either Badger Balm or olive oil. I'm then going to take my roller, lay it down on my clay. If it starts to slide, you might have too much Badger Balm on it. So I'm going to wipe a little bit off. I'm going to roll up once. I'm not trying to roll it all in one motion. By doing that, all I'm going to do is make the clay thinner in one area than the other. I'm then going to continue to roll it again. And then I'm going to take the clay and roll it opposite direction. This will help me get a little more fatness on my section of the leaf. I'm going to roll it again. Now that it's flattened and I've rolled it a few times, I'm now going to roll it out to the thickness and giving it enough pressure of my 5 cards. If I like my shape and I'm happy with it, I'm going to remove my cards. I'm going to get one of my sage leaves that I either bought from a store, grocery store, or they were from my garden. These I think were from a store. You don't need to put any Badger Balm or olive oil on this, but what I do recommend is using the opposite side of your sage leaf. One side is beautiful, also has a beautiful texture, but the underside of the leaf really gives you really beautiful definition of the veins. So I'm now going to lay my leaf down on my clay, and I'm going to tap it down gently. Then we're going to take my roller, start in the middle, roll up gently, and then I'm going to roll down towards myself, and then I'm going to give it one more roll. And I'm not pressing super hard because I don't want this to break through the clay. After rolling it out, you then pick up your sage leaf gently off of your clay, and you'll see you made a very pretty impression. Remember, you don't want to press too hard because then you'll flatten out your clay too much. Now what I'm going to do is, it's sort of in a leaf shape, but not exactly what I really want. I'm not happy with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scalpel. I can also use my pin tool, but I'm going to use the scalpel because I like the handle on it for this kind of motion that I have to do to make this into a leaf shape. If you see what I'm doing, I'm lubing this up. It's very important to keep all your tools lubed up, including anything that's metal too. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gently going to cut a shape more conducive to what I need it to be. I'm going to take this off, put this on the side with my other clay. I'm then going to cut on this side. I'm kind of thinning it out a little bit because I want this to be a band on my ring that I want to make sure that I can overlap another piece and get a really nice looking ring. I'm just going to use my finger here gently. Sometimes it splits on the bottom, but you're probably not going to see that because we're going to cover it. And I'm just going to go one more time, and this time we're just going to cut down on it. Okay, I am going to take this and I'm now going to place it onto my ring pellet. And I'm going to gently push it around. It's going to pop up a little bit because it's still pretty wet. So as long as the clay is moving in that position, that's all you have to worry about. Because if it starts to dry and if it's not in some sort of a round shape, it will start to crack on you, and you don't want that happening. So I'm now going to set this aside over here on the corner, and now we're going to do our other side of our leaf. Now I'm going to go back to my original leaf, and I'm going to take my other leaf that I just made, and I'm going to overlap them. And I can still position them in places if I'm not happy with the way it looks. So now you can see it being covered, but we're not done yet. The next thing we have to do is use some slip. So you're going to take your slip on a paintbrush and you're going to go underneath the leaf. The clay is still pretty damp because it's pretty cold right now. You're going to just put a little bit of slip where it's going to meet. You might even want to put a slip going all the way around the places where they're touching each other. And then I'm going to close it back up and press it down gently. I don't want to press it too hard because I do not want to ruin my pattern. I'm going to lift up the other side, which is starting to split a little bit because this side is drying. I'm going to take the clay again, open it up, and put some more slip on it. And I'm even going to put some slip on this side too. And then I'm going to end up closing it and pressing it down. That should give me a pretty good seal. Just working a little bit with my fingers. Okay, so this is where you should be at this point. The next step is to embellish our ring. So to create these little balls is our next step. We're going to use 3 cards on either side, and with our leftover clay we're going to roll it out. I'm just going to push it together a little bit. Sometimes if it gets a little dry, you might just want to give it a little spray of distilled water. I like using distilled water because it doesn't leave any bacteria in the clay And if you're going to close up your clay later, you don't want it to grow any mold. So now I'm just going to press this down. Still a couple of cracks, but I'm not concerned because I'm going to be rolling this out. Again, we're going to start in the middle, go to the front of it or the back, depending upon which way you're rolling. And that happened because I didn't have enough Badger Balm on my roller. So now I'm going to wipe that off, put the Badger Balm on it, and I'm going to roll again. Might be a little slippery now. There we go. I'm going to turn it this way. There's also a little bit of water on it because I wanted it to reconstitute a little bit. So I'm rolling this out to 3 cards. And you can see it's still sticking from the way before, but it shouldn't stick now. It's not. What you're going to do is you're going to get either a cocktail straw or a drinking straw. And since you have the 3 cards that you laid out, what you're going to do now is you're going to punch little holes in. And each one of these holes will create a circle for you. And what you're going to do is take the little circle that you just cut out and you're going to roll it between your fingers. This will make the perfect circle for you, perfect ball, and they'll all be the same size. So there's one. I'm going to use my pick to take the next one up, and I'm going to roll it again. And you're going to do this until you have a collection of them. After you've made all your balls from your cocktail straw, you could also make larger ones with the bigger drinking straw. I went with the smaller ones. What you're going to do is you're going to use a little slip again on your paintbrush, and you're going to slip the area that you're going to be putting your ball on. So you can take your little tweezer, if you have one, or your hands, and you can position them in the place you want. It might be a good idea to have your balls a little on the drier side so they don't get marred. You can see as I put them on, I want to make sure that I have enough slip, because if I don't, my balls are not going to stick on. When you position all of your balls the way you like them, whoops, that one just went off. When you position them to where I just threw some water on it, where you want them, what you're going to do now is you're going to let it dry. I use a coffee warmer to dry them. You want to place it on a coffee warmer to dry. Once it's dry, you're going to take it to your kiln, and then you're going to fire it by following the package directions for your clay. Once the ring is fired, you're going to want to remove the ring pellet. It's not going to come out easy. You're going to have to go over to a sink, and you're going to have to make it disintegrate. Once you get the ring pellet out, it's time to polish your ring. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your stainless steel brush, and you're going to brush the frostiness off the front of your ring. This hardens it slightly, but it also helps polish it when you put it in the tumbler. So now you're going to take your ring and you're going to put it in your tumbler. You're going to place the ring in the tumbler for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you can take out your ring, rinse it off, and now it's ready for you to be worn and for people to admire.